This was about last year. When I was 13, I was naive. I was a little jumpy, healthy, and fearless. I was a happy little teen, unlike other girls my age. One afternoon, I got a text from my younger cousin's sister. We were very close, by the way. She had sent me a video link of a celebrity singer interview. I watched it and brushed it off as usual. Then I started to dance on my favorite Taylor Swift songs. After a while, I got bored and had nothing better to do, so I thought of actually listening to this celebrity's music, whose interview I watched a while ago. It was awesome. I instantly fell in love with his voice and him. I started researching so much about him. I even got my social media because of him. I started to search his likes and dislikes and surrounded myself towards him. I even confined myself to my room and my laptop. I started to imagine our conversations in the hope that I would ever meet him. By the way, his new duet was coming out in a week. I started to listen to his music and concentrated on him. This all was happening in our summer vacation, which was soon to be over. I wondered a few times, why am I devoting my time to someone who'll never be mine? Besides, he was so much older to me, and millions of other girls liked him too. But no harm in hoping. In school, I was always distracted, fragile, lost, and people started to think of me as weird. I didn't care though, because I thought he's the one I only require. One day, I was slipping into my pajamas when I looked at my belly. I had puppy fat. I was so furious and embarrassed of my figure and thought that I needed to be perfect for my celeb crush. I stopped eating normally. I reduced proteins and carbohydrates, and suddenly I started getting thinner. My parents didn't agree to my new change, but weren't very concerned. I stopped playing downstairs and worked out for fitness. I started caring more about my looks and composure. I started caring about how I talked. I started functioning like a teenager. I thought I would meet my crush in some concert and started fantasizing how we'd bump into each other. Basically, all the fan fictions you read. They were extremely impossible to take places, but tell that to a smitten, naive, and dumb teenager. My weight was reducing like usual, and I was happy. Each day I grew fonder towards my crush. A few weeks later, there were rumors about my celeb crush making out with this duet singer who was also a very famous one like him. I wished it wasn't true, but when they were official, I kind of started to be depressed. I was upset in school, barely made communication, but I told myself that he isn't worth all of this pain. He's a celebrity, for heaven's sake. Well, I got over him eventually. You can't blame me. It was my first time ever having a crush on a celebrity, or anybody for that matter. Plus, I couldn't even meet him. He was my first crush. Getting over him at first was a bit of a vendetta, but now I just ship him with his girlfriend. Later that year in August, I was severely ill. It was just a flu bug, but I got a fever of 104 each day, and later I developed an abscess in my throat, which did not allow me to eat. I was bedridden and couldn't breathe through my nose. I was very weak as I only survived on antibiotics and water for 2 weeks. I lost 7 to 8 kilograms this whole time. My parents were immensely worried about my condition because now I was mostly skin and bone. After I recovered, my parents forced me to just eat, but I was later diagnosed with anorexia. Life was a living hell because I was constantly under pressure to take care of myself. I didn't feel the need to eat. Sometimes I'd look in the mirror and burst into tears when I saw my pale face and fragile structure. I was bony. I wondered why this was happening to me. One day, my parents took me to a restaurant to eat. I was hesitant, but I gave in. There were waiters carrying around the dishes, and the aroma of spices and food made me feel a little hungry. I slowly proceeded to the menu and ordered a bowl of soup. It was just awesome. I had a hearty meal, and my parents were extremely happy to see me eat so much. That gave me the motivation to get rid of anorexia. I had a controlled diet, of course, but I started eating more and didn't hesitate much. I am still very thin, but a lot better. Plus, I got a new crush from school who is just a gentleman, and I am not that obsessed.